cannot be, more appreciative or more complimentary of the districts, of the superintendents and administrators and the teachers that were asked to really take on an impossible task. I mean, they were asked to basically overnight completely change and shift the structure and the entire system. And of course, this K-12 school system is a gigantic, aircraft carrier that we're asking to turn it around on a dime. So it was a really pretty more remarkable and almost miraculous effort that went into trying to accomplish that or accomplishing that. They shifted. There was success in changing the model and changing the system. That was a successful experiment. And so you're hopeful. We didn't know back then. I can tell you, those are the policymakers and really everybody. We're thinking, well, we might be out of school for a couple of weeks, maybe a month. But we're kind of thinking like hurricanes. I mean, that's what I'm trained living here. You're thinking if we're out, 2 weeks is a really long time if we have a storm. But we've had those before. We've had periods where even longer. So I'm kind of thinking that way, and I think everybody was, and thinking that we're going to be back in school pretty quickly. Well, that obviously didn't happen. So as we watch this experiment unfold, in spite of the good work and effort by teachers and others, and parents for that matter, because parents are trying to embrace this model and trying to, with those that can, are trying to help their kids with the get something out of this experience. It wasn't, I don't know, maybe a month, I started hearing from parents. They were calling me and saying, Senator, when are we going to go back to school, because this just is not working. And it really came from two places. Some of them, they were just like, I can't be there, and they said they're just not doing, I'm just fighting my kid every day, my child, to get them to do their work. Or I'm there and I don't even understand it. I'm having a problem getting it done, helping my child. And so it started with the parents. I've got some teachers that are local teachers that I trust. I would call them my sort of confidential informants. I go to them and to find out what's really happening. Not what the party line is, but what's really happening in the classrooms. The teachers were very frustrated. The teachers I spoke with, the few that I really count on for that, were very frustrated with the effort. They felt like all they did was chase their students down. They wouldn't turn their work in. They didn't. They were frustrated, and were seeing that this experiment was not working. And then of course, finally there was some just kids in the neighborhood. In our neighborhood we got a lot of children, and they were just riding around on golf carts all day long. And we know them. My wife and I know these. Our kids all went to North Myrtle Beach High. These kids go to the North Myrtle Beach attendance area schools, and I'm talking to them, just kind of pull them aside and say, hey, how's it going? I'm seeing a lot of you out here on the, out in the neighborhood. How's it going? And they're like, it's just busy work. It's really just sort of a waste of our time. And that was sort of a universal, there was a pattern to this reports from the field. So I back then, this is probably April, May, I was concerned. I was concerned that the experiment, in spite of its good faith effort, was not having any success, or very limited success, if anything. I also, began hearing reports about, we were concerned about children that are in the most vulnerable communities and the most vulnerable homes that had just dropped off they weren't on the grid. I mean, they weren't signed up for school. They weren't doing any school. They're just gone. They're just kind of like they disappeared, which gives you a lot of concern for those children that are at that. They really are. School to them is not just about learning. It's a place where they get health care and fed and so many mental health camp. I mean, a lot of services that are school is the place where they connect to those services. So that was missing out, and that was troubling as well. Finally we got the report. We ran and got this projection from the group out into NWEA, which is the group that administers the MAP test. This has been their, measuring student performance or regression or progression that's their business. That's their expertise. The MAP test is a nationally administered test. It's sort of the gold standard when you're looking at an assessment for children. One of those, gold standard tests that is used widely in South Carolina. They produced a report that was a projection of how much slide there would be, what they called the COVID slide, and they were projecting a full year in mathematics and half a year in English. That's where I, that was kind of the, I'm hearing these anecdotal stories which are giving me concern, and then you get this, this projection from the experts and people that know what they're talking about, and they're, that was what really kind of put the, put the icing on the cake, if you will, over my concerns that we had to change the experiment in some way. We, to continue to do this and just watch our children slide farther and farther and farther behind is just not an acceptable alternative. So we got to look for other options.